Welcome to Got Math Help, presented by me, Miss B.
Welcome to another mini lesson presented by Got Math Tutor. We're going to be reviewing how to add and subtract fractions with a common denominator. There are a couple different ways you can go about doing it. One is drawing a picture, so drawing like a square and dividing into fourths or fifths or whatever, and then combining them together, which we'll do one of so you can see what it looks like. But most of the time, we're just going to go ahead and do it algebraically. Got to remember that whenever you're adding fractions or subtracting fractions, you got to have a common denominator in order to add or subtract. Once you get your answer, don't forget to reduce or simplify your result. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. Our first example asks us to add 1/4 plus 1/4. So for this one, I'm going to illustrate this by using a picture. So let me draw a square. So I'm going to draw a square, and I'm going to divide it into fourths. Well, how did I know to divide into fourths? The denominator tells me that I'm dividing into fourths. So I'm going to take my square and I'm going to divide into fourths. So that's 1, 2, 3, which gives me 4 divisions. And now my numerator tells me how much to shade. So I've got 1/4. I've got 1 out of that 4. So I'm going to shade 1 out of that 4. Well, to this fraction, I've got another fourth. So I'm going to do the same thing. I've got a square. I'm going to add another fourth. I'm not adding the whole square. I'm just adding 1/4 of it. So that's what you're really adding and putting together. So if we look at what we have now, if I add these two fractions together, I've got the 1/4 plus another fourth. But how much is that? Well, if we have to look at the whole square. So if I complete the whole square, well, how much is that of the whole square? That's half of the square. If I put these two together, you can see now I've got half the square. So my answer would be 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. Okay, so let's try this without now drawing a picture so you can kind of see. Because again, like I said, it does become a little bit harder as the denominators become bigger. So let's try another example. In this example, we've got -5/12 plus 3/12. So you can see if I were to draw a picture, I'd have to draw a square and divide into 12 parts. That gets a little bit hard and probably something that you don't want to do. So when we're going through and adding fractions, we've got to remember our denominators must be the same. Okay, so if their denominator is the same, I'm not going to change it. My denominator is still going to be a 12. I'm going to combine the numerators, so -5 plus 3. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, -5 plus 3, what is -5 plus 3? That's -2. Denominator does not change. Still 12. Now you ask, well, I got to reduce, simplify if I can. And by doing that, you're going to ask yourself, what is the biggest number, the biggest factor that goes into both 2 and 12? 2 goes into both of those. And now we can look at our next step, which is our final step. -2 divided by 2 is -1, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. And there's our answer. Let's go ahead and try another one. In this example, we have 2/9 minus 1/9. 2/9 minus 1/9. Denominators are the same, so that I can just go ahead and simply combine my numerators. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Denominators are the same, so it's not going to change. It's still going to be a 9. Numerators, I want to combine my numerators. 2 take away 1, 2 take away 1. Let's go and simplify that. Well, 2 take away 1. What's 2 take away 1 is 1. Okay. And denominator, did it change? No. What's the last question that we have to ask ourselves? Can we simplify? And on this one, you can't simplify. There's nothing that goes into 1 and 9. So our answer, I'm just going to rewrite it in the same color here, is 1/9. Okay, hopefully this is helping. Let's try maybe a couple more. Okay, on our next example, we've got 14 over 25, 14 over 25 minus 19 over 25. Denominators are the same, so that means I can just go ahead and combine my numerators. And when I see the denominators are the same, I'm going to go ahead and write that number first, because I know that's not going to change. And now I'm going to take 14, take away 19. Well, what's 14 take away 19? 14 take away 19 is a negative 5. Did the denominator change? No. So I'm going to carry that over. Am I done with the problem? Not quite. I've got to ask, can I reduce, can I simplify this fraction? Is there a greatest common factor? What's the biggest number that goes into 5 and 25? Right, it's 5. So now I can go to the next step and say negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. And there's our answer. Well, I hope this helped you review adding and subtracting fractions with a common denominator. See you next time.